nominations are due. And some of you may have seen some of this presentation already, since I have been presenting it to several of the companies individually. And so yeah, we're willing to do that, as well. So I do have several of my committee members here with me. And so I see Valerie Valenzuela, Linda Renteria, and Rebecca Torres. And so I'm going to go through the presentation. Nicole and Valerie are going to be monitoring the chat, and then we can get into questions and answers afterwards. So this is our committee. So, our goal here is that, we first class customer service, and we really want to make sure that all the honorees feel like stars when they come to the conference. And so, as I mentioned, we have 3 of our committee members on, along with myself, and then Juliana Porras is also a committee member. So, of course, the Star Awards, the objective is to recognize the brightest and shiny stars. This year, obviously, because it's our 50th anniversary, we're really trying to make things more special. And this is why we did move up our nominations deadline. We want to be able to identify the award winners sooner in case we decide to do some videos beforehand. And so really have everything earlier in place. So that's why the nominations are due on May 30th this year versus July 15th when we usually have it. So hopefully you understand why we want to try to do it this year. And obviously we'll be in Anaheim. It's going to be, probably our largest conference ever. So just some Star Awards, just so for information, you are not able to provide direct nominations for these following awards. So for the Rodrigo Garcia Founders Award, the Jaime Oaxaca Award, Dr. Echelon Award, and Ruben Hinojosa STEM Champion Award. And then, so you're not able to submit nominations, but what we do is through the nominations that you submit for the other awards, we go and we look winners for this award, for each of these 4 awards. And Company of the Year, Government Agency of Academic Institute of the Year, those nominations and award winners come from both the staff and the board. So to submit a nomination package, you have to, the following is required. You need to complete an OnStar SHPE Awards nomination form, a biographical sketch, a nominee merit description, no more than 2 pages, covering the following: the contributions of the nominee, including dates, describing also specific examples how the nominee's efforts resulted in enhancements, development, and/or promotion of SHPE. The supplemental merit items such as articles, letters of recommendations, publications, we limit those to 10. And the big one is, that headshot that we will need for all of our printed material and our websites. So all the materials have to be submitted through the awards platform. No email submissions will be accepted. So everything needs to go through the online. Otherwise, the people that review it will not have the opportunity to see the information. This is our award score sheet. So you have an idea. So there's 45 possible total points. Number 1 meets the criteria. Number 2, supporting materials. And then the organizational involvement and the organizational impact. And are they a SHPE member? Yes or no. Now, for organizational involvement and impact, it's not about SHPE. It's about within their own respective company. Unless you are submitting for the role models, of course, that's what we're talking about for SHPE. So here are just some application tips. We really want you to read and follow the nomination guidelines, look through the brochure, and we want you to really tell a story. So showcase the true impact to the community or their professional career with each award nomination. And has this person gone above and beyond what's really required? The letters of recommendation should speak to the award category. We do highly suggest, this is more for the members, that ship chapters nominate individuals, and we really want to, celebrate all accomplishments. So the platform, for those, some of you are very familiar with the platform. You already have an account, but in order for you to submit a nomination, you do have to create an account. And it's very simple. You go in there, you go click on from the brochure or from our website, and you start by creating an account. And then you start the nomination process, and everything is being saved as you're working on it. And then you would submit your nomination. But it's really important. Some of you have, again, accounts already, but for those that don't, you do need to go in there and create an account. These are the categories, and then we just have these next 3 slides that talk about who are the actual judges. So who are judging the respective awards. And then from 10 through the next so many, we do have the evaluation team. The evaluation teams are made up of volunteers, anybody wanting to help evaluate any of these awards. We'll have a whole separate training session for that, and we are asking for volunteers. The last one, the Young Investigator Award, is actually judged by university professors. So if the award, this is again, we want to just have everyone understand when you receive an award, what you get: special recognition, your picture, your statement of accomplishments, in the event program, the website, these leaderboards at the conference, they're really cool. A lot of award winners really like those. It highlights their picture, their award. And then also we ask each award winner for a quote. What would they want for the conference participants to know? And so that's also on each of the leaderboards. We will have meet and greet workshops at the conference. They will be invited to several of the events. They are entitled to 2 complimentary full conference registrations. So that includes the award winner and the guest. And they can attend all the networking, the workshops, our socials, and meal events as our special guests. They will also receive hotel accommodations for 3 nights, and it's 1 room. And travel is the responsibility of each recipient. So nominations are due on May 30th. And so, as I mentioned before, why we're doing it earlier is because this is a big year for us, and we want to identify award winners sooner than later. We're going to use the same platform as the previous year's award force. And we want to make sure, and again, to just make it easier, we don't want to continue changing different platforms. So we're using Award Force. And we want you want to make sure that you submit, you hit that submit button in order for your nomination to be considered. Every year we have, between 30 and 50 nominations that are still there that never really got submitted. We're not, and we do send out a reminder, but we're not sure if they just changed their mind or they just forgot to hit submit. Reviewers will be needed. Reviewer training will be held in mid-June after the nominations are closed. And then we'll assign and we'll do the training. If you do want to be a reviewer, or if you have members of your company that want to review, we ask that you contact us as at starawards@ship.org, and we'll put you in the list. We also do send out an email to past reviewers and to see if they want to do it again. And so we really need between 60 and 80 reviewers. The reason why we need so many reviewers, we want each nomination to at least submit or each nomination would be seen by 3 different reviewers. So that's the key thing. So we want to make sure that each nomination is seen by a minimum of 3 individuals. And that's a duplicate side there. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And then that was the presentation. We are, as Nicole mentioned, that we are recording this, and we are going to be attaching the presentation as well. So with that, I will open it up to questions, and we will start with any that we have in the chat.
Yeah, we don't have any in the chat, but just as
Okay.
a reminder, please put them in the chat, or feel free to raise your hand and we will call on you so you can unmute and ask your question of Diana. It looks like we have one in the chat though. Where can volunteers sign up for review nominations?
So they just need to send an email to that email address that I have put up. I can copy it and put it back in the chat.
I just added it to the chat, Diana.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great. What other questions might we have? Now's your time to pick their brains. All right. Can a nominee also volunteer as a reviewer, Diana?
Yes, they can. And obviously, they would just need to let me know that they got nominated, and we will have them review other nominations versus in the different categories.
All right. Next question is, when do you expect to have the final results?
Well, our goal is to have all this complete by July 1st.
July 1st. Okay. Next question. How many entries do you get on average? Like, how many submissions are you getting?
So we get about little over 200. I think the most we've received was 235. I can tell you also which are the most competitive awards. Ship Star of Today and Ship Star of Tomorrow are the most competitive. That's where we receive most of the nominations. Also, under the Managerial Excellence Award, we receive quite a bit from there. And so we get about over 230 some nominations a year. And I also want to point out that, some of the awards we give to the corporate side and to the government side. So when you go through the brochure, you'll be able to see, so for those that work in government, they would be in a separate category versus those that are in corporate.
Did anyone need to unmute to ask the question, Diana? Please just either raise your hand or alert us somehow so we can do that. Next one. Question on nomination requirement. Nominee merit description. Is this written by nominee or someone else? For example, another recommendation letter or more specific to the award?
The nominee merit description can be written by someone else. So not a lot of people get, are nominating themselves. So most definitely it can be written by someone else. It doesn't need to be written by the nominee. It's whoever is submitting that nomination.
All right. So it can also be self-written to
That's
confirm.
correct. Yes, it can be. And you can nominate yourself too. So we do have people that nominate themselves.
Great, these are all great questions. Any other questions or tips that you might have questions on that Diana and the team can help you with?
I think everybody's hungry. That's why we're not getting that many questions.
All right, here we go. One more. In your experience, what stands out the most in someone's nomination?
Well, I think that, and Valerie and Linda also can chime in here. I think what stands out the most is, during those the sketches, the biographical sketches. I mean, really talking about how much impact they've made, within respective, companies. And as I mentioned, is really telling that story, not necessarily just reading, that it reads like a resume. So has this individual, have they had to overcome something, did they end up working their entire while they were in college, were they the first to go to school from their family? So just really those things that any person had to overcome. Were they the first in their class? Were they, you know for these technical awards, how many patents do they have? Have they made a big difference within their companies? Have they affected the bottom line of their companies? So those are some of the things that, we are looking for in those nominations, and that really stand out. Valerie or Linda,
Yeah.
would you like to add something?
I would just like to add that these judges and reviewers are they're all across the board. They can be anybody from any one of these companies or anyone that wants to volunteer. I know Diana has a list, and they're really looking for, that story. We always say, like, what does the story tell? What is, some of these individuals or some of these nominees that get submissions sent, sometimes they qualify for multiple awards, and they're cut and pasting the one to many others. And sometimes that story is not the same. It doesn't read the same. And with these viewers not being, or reviewers not being, they want to hear everything about, like Diana was saying, how do they overcome something? How did they lead them to where they are today? Or what is it in their life that they have overcome or have their success through the last 15 years? Some of these awards are looking for 15 years plus experience. It's like, what was that? How did they even get to that point? So I think just telling the story is very important, and not cut and pasting, and really taking a look at what the requirements are in the eligibility to each award is very important, because that will really set the tone for what these nominations are, or how they're going to be written. I think just reviewing that, and really hitting on those key points. I don't know, Linda, if you want to add something.
Yeah, I do want to add, I think the resume states what the accomplishments are, but in resume that fits into that business or that company, that is not translated into a reviewer. We don't know what that means. We don't know what a level 2 means in a company versus a level 1 versus a level reappear or whatever. And that's why the merit description is so important and valuable to really figure out, okay, what did this person accomplish within their company? How did they, how many years, how did they do this? Or because again, just reviewing the resume is not clear cut because every company has a different standard or template of how they promote people and what the levels are, especially for military or government agencies. We can't tell. We don't know what that means. Did they jump 2 levels? But again, the merit description is really valuable. And back to the story. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Right. The next question is it possible and can we receive feedback from past or last year submittals?
Yes, you can. You would have to schedule a individual meeting with myself, and I can give you that feedback.
Okay.
Hi, Diana. I have a question. So for the star of today and then the star of tomorrow, where we have someone that's kind of in the middle in terms of years of experience. They're sitting on their 7th year, and then by the time the conference hits, they're technically in their 8th year. So how do we like distinguish which one they should apply to?
I would do star of tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions?
Hi, good afternoon. I've got another question on Star of Tomorrow, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Great, thanks. I want to clarify, I see in the brochure, there's also a list of specific requirements to submit for each category. And I'm looking at the letter of endorsement from immediate team or group. Is that the same as the nominee merit description, or does that count as one of the 10 supplemental merit items?
No, the letter, let me get to the brochure.
Yeah.
So the letters of recommendation does not serve as the merit description.
Okay, so that is separate.
Yes, that is separate. So for that supplemental information is if you wanted to submit, several letters of recommendation, if you want to submit some publications, the patent information, but they're 2 separate things, the nominee description and the merit description and the letter of recommendation.
Okay, so all separate. Okay, I think that's clear to me. And while I'm on, if I could ask a follow-up question, we do see the awardees from previous years. Is there any type of just a quick summary on the accomplishments for each of those? And maybe I missed that during the last SHPE conference, but just a quick blurb that's available about that awardee.
So let's see, Nicole, it was in the, I think if we go back to, I don't know if we can put up the PDFs of what we hand out at the award ceremony, because that kind of does describe some of that information he's asking.
Yep. When we go to post information for this year, I'll make sure and put in a request for that.
I think if you look it up online, they do come up, and there is a description of who won.
I did try that. I only found the name and not any type of description around that individual and their accomplishments.
Yeah, we'll post the slides in this recording, and I'll also make sure to post a link to the programs from last year so that you can also view those.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
The next question is, how many recommendations are needed, minimum or max?
I just want to mention that, I mean, it's just very brief what was in the award programs. So it's not a whole lot of detail as well, but at least it gives you some indication of their recommendations.
That's perfect. Thank you.
For how many recommendations are needed, so it depends on which of those that you are submitting for, but for like the role models, there are specific letters of recommendations that are required. So for like the student role models, they need one from their advisor and from, the chapter. But for all the other ones that are not member required, um, it's hopefully you're submitting, at least one. But the max would be 10 if that's all you're submitting on supplemental information. So hopefully you at least have one letter of recommendation. And sometimes those letters of recommendation say, sometimes provide that crucial information that gives that award, that nominee, more points. And some of these letters of recommendations are coming from very high, level executives. And so that, also makes a difference because you're seeing that this individual is being recognized by, a high executive within those respective companies.
All right, any other questions at this time? All right, well, as I said, we will have this up on the Star Awards website. Give us about a day or so after the recording renders. Marketing will post that up there along with the slides that Diana shared. And then I'll also make sure the programs from the last year will be up there as well. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Diana at starawards@ship.org. Diana and team will be happy to follow up with you and answer any further questions. But thank you so much for joining us today, everyone.
Thank you.